Hey everybody, I'm here for the next hour. So, because I only have a short amount of time, we're gonna hit the hits and we're gonna hit them real quick. I got a bunch of stories, a bunch of opinions, and a bunch of thoughts about each and every song we're gonna play. So with that being said, let's begin. This one is one very special to me, guys. Mariah Carey, It's Like That. And it was, working with Mariah is something else. At the time that this song was made, Mariah had a flop. She had a movie called Glitter, and it was like what you would consider a certified flop. Like, everybody was trashing Mariah. Everybody was saying, oh, Mariah's over, she's done, she's finished. And an interesting story, I'm gonna take some time and tell you the whole process of what happened. Again, I used to work at a station called Hot 97. I worked in the overnight, which is 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. So maybe around 2 or 3:30 in the morning, I get a phone call on what they call a hotline, which is the phone line that the boss uses to call you when you're on the radio station. If that line rings, there's a flashing light, and that says the boss is calling. So people would have this number. They'd still have this number. People probably weren't supposed to have it, would have it. And I get a call about 2:30 in the morning. And it says, Scoop. And I said, hi, how you doing? What's going on? This is Mariah. I said, get the out of here. This is George Bush. And I hang up the phone. And she calls back and says, Scoop, it's Mariah. And I said, listen, whoever this is, kiss my ass. And I hang up the phone again. The phone rings the third time, and it's my boss, Tracy Cloherty. Shout out to Tracy Cloherty. And Tracy is like, would you stop hanging up on Mariah Carey, please? And then Mariah called back. I said, well, Mariah, what global superstar, what superstar that's bigger than everything is gonna call me at 2:30 in the morning talking about what's up? So anyway, I go down to the studio. I didn't take a copy of the music for the record or anything because at this time Mariah was still so big that if that got leaked, I didn't want my name involved in it. So I went to the studio to write the record. When I got there, I was there about 2 hours and Mariah walks in. And at the time, my ex-wife was really, really sick. And I was like, I gotta get back over there, she's sick, blah, blah, blah. And Mariah said, well, can I do anything for her? Can I buy a pair of Chanel glasses? I said, no, it's not necessary. But, she was really, really cool and warm and, thankful for me coming. And I said to Mariah as I was finishing up, and I'll never forget this ever. This is one of the things that stick with me for my entire life. I went to Mariah and I said, Mariah, check this out. You're coming off of this album that, whatever. You could just easily pack it up and call it a career. Because at this time, she was still one of the biggest artists in the world. She was worth $500-600 million. And I was like, you could just quit. And she said something to me that I carry to this day. She said, it's not over until I say it's over. So when I'm ready to quit, I'll quit. When I'm ready to go away, I'll go away. When I'm ready to put it down, I'll put it down. It's not over till I say it's over. When I say this is over and I'm ready to pack it up, then it's over. Until then, I'm gonna keep trying, keep working. What happens? We put this song out. It's the first single called It's Like That, Emancipation of Mimi album, #1. Bam, right back on top. And I carry that. I love you for that, Mariah. I love you for that, just that insight. I needed it and I carry it to this day. So this is the video that we did. It was amazing. Really, really, really high budget video. And I was in the casino. Check it out. Puff Daddy and Faith Evans, I'll be missing you. Oh man. This record doesn't happen if the Notorious B.I.G. is not gunned down. I'll start here. I was laying in my bed on a Sunday, that was March 9th. I was sleeping. At that time, there were no smartphones. There were no smartphones. We were at the level of technology where there was a beeper, a pager. It was about this big. It's like square, but it was about this big. And what it would do, it was called the two-way. Actually, we weren't even at two-way yet. It was a one-way. And what a one-way was is that it would either give you news that was selected by, was aggregated by somebody and it would be put out, or someone called an 800 number and they would be like, you would have a PIN number and they would be like, it's PIN 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And once you give the PIN, they'd be like, what's your message? And they'd say, Scoop wants to say hello and call him at 3 o'clock. And then you'd hang up and they'd send that, they type it and they send it out. And I'll never forget, I was laying in the bed, sleeping on March 9th, Sunday, March 9th. And my pager just kept beeping, 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 beeping. And it was, did you hear what happened with Biggie? Oh my God, they killed Biggie. I can't believe it. And then I didn't believe it. I said, this is garbage and whatever. And then the news flash came. Rapper Notorious BIG killed at Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. Because I was working for Hot 97 again, which was the #1 station for hip hop at the time, there was no other place. It would be like if something happened, you turn on the television station that's news only. So because it was a hip hop event, everybody turned on Hot 97. The New York City shut down that day. Nobody listened to any other radio station, unless you were just older or whatever. Anybody, young, old, anybody who wanted information listened to that station that day. And I'll never forget, when I heard that, I got up, I lived in the Bronx at the time, and my job was all the way down right near the World Trade Center, which is at the tip of Manhattan. So it's about a 20-mile drive. But in New York, a 20-mile drive could take you an hour and a half. I never forget, it was very early in the morning. I got up, I put my clothes on, took a shower, put my clothes on, and I went right down to Hot 97. And for the next couple of hours, that's where all the information was being disseminated about what happened. Puff was in a bad place because his cash cow, his top artist, and one of the most elite artists in the world was taken from him. And everybody was asking, what are you going to do now? And Puff came with this song, I'll Be Missing You. How fitting was it for Faith to sing the song, and 112, which were also bad boy artists, and Sting to actually allow him to use that record. And I remember it was right around the time of an award show. Puff came out and did that record. I'd say it's one of the most spirited performances I've ever seen in my life. Also, it's one of my favorite records. Even though it's regarding a death, it's one of my favorite records in the world. In the Afro-American culture, we have a term called catching the Holy Ghost. And catching the Holy Ghost is basically when God goes into you. God goes into you, and whatever happens, you're just led by a spirit. And if you go watch that performance, go Google Puff Daddy, I'll Be Missing You live performance after Biggie's death. You could see that Puffy had caught the Holy Ghost. The video was directed by Hype Williams, I believe, and it's nothing else to say, but it's a classic. And it's one of my favorite videos, and I'd like you to watch it. I'll Be Missing You, Puff Daddy. Yo, it's Fatman Scoop. Right now, you're watching Rage. So this one, guys, is Fugees, Killing Me Softly. Now, you have to have a VCR, or you have to be extremely hair-triggered on your remote to catch me in it. Look for me. I have a goatee, and I have a number 21 football jersey on. I'm behind the bar. Look at that. And back in the days, I used to be in almost every hip hop video, and here's why. There was no LA scene where they would shoot videos because LA was really known for movies. And this is not the infancy of hip hop, however, it is like the middle school of hip hop. People hadn't got to the point where they started going to LA and shooting their videos. That was like the Hype Williams era. This is the era right before it. That was Ralph McDaniels and Lionel Martin. What was the name of their company? Whatever it was, the guys who ran a show called Video Music Box. And people, Video Music Box was one of the first music video shows in existence. Before there was MTV, TRL, whatever video show you wanna pick, even this one, there was Video Music Box. It was the precursor to everything. And those guys, Ralph McDaniels and Lionel Martin, who are absolute icons in New York video culture, they had a TV show called Video Music Box, and then they would shoot the videos for the artists. And this is one of them that they shot, the Fugees. Check it out right here on Rage. This one right here is Busta Rhymes. Woo-Hah! Got you all in check. And if you don't know who Busta Rhymes is, he is one of the most creative, one of the most experimental artists that you'll ever find. Starting from the years of his debut, which was with a group called Leaders of the New School, he continued that vibe. And that's why he is who he is, and that's why he's as important to the culture as he is. Videos, concepts, music, all experimental. And you'll see with this song right here, Woo-Hah, the song is completely different than anything that was playing at the time on radio. I was there because I was playing these records on a station called Hot 97, which was the first radio station to ever play hip-hop on the planet, 24 hours a day. And of course, the video, when you see it, you'll understand. Everything about this guy was showmanship. Everything about him is creativity, and everything about Busta is separating himself from the pack. Woo-Hah. Take a look at this. Okay, so this one, it's me. Part of the reason I'm even sitting on this couch is because of this song. It's the reason that I got bigger than I was, and it's the reason that Missy has one of the most impact records that she has. You know, when you think of Missy Elliott, there's certain records that you think of. Get Your Freak On, I Can't Stand the Rain, and this one, Lose Control, with me and Missy Elliott. And the story is, to be honest with you, God works in mysterious ways, whether you call it God, whatever you call the higher power, if you do. I do. And God works in mysterious ways. I had a radio show on a station called Hot 97. I worked overnights. So that meant that it was extremely hard to get artists to come to the station. Okay, you'll come at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but do you really want to come at 2 o'clock in the morning? No. So, a lot of the times I would have to get my DAT recorder, which is like a recorder it's a recorder with a microphone or 2 microphones that records extremely clear audio, like you're actually at the station, and I would have to go to people and get these interviews and then play them back on the station in the middle of the night. I called Ciara and I said, Ciara, I want to interview you. She said, sure, but I can't come to the station. I said, all right, well, that's fine. She said, can you meet me at the studio in the city? I tell you what, you can interview, I'll come early, you can interview me, and then I'll do this song I got to do. I said, sure, no problem, I'll come. I get there, and at this time I weigh maybe about 350, 370 pounds. Imagine me getting on the floor and then sitting in an Indian crisscross legs position. And I'm doing that for about 30 minutes. I'm interviewing Ciara. We finish. Somehow I get up off the floor with the help of maybe 2 or 3 people. I'm standing up and I'm packing my stuff and then I'm walking out the door. As I'm walking out the door, the engineer plays music, make you lose control, music, and make you lose control. And I'm walking out the door and I'm like, let's go. Here we go now. Here, I'm just playing, I'm just like, just literally walking out the door. That first 15 seconds, I'm just doing what I would do. And Jay Brown, who was the A&R at the time for Missy, he's gone on to be a big part of Rock Nation with Jay-Z. He stopped me and he said, go in there and do it right now. Do exactly what you did. And I said to him, I said, yo, bro, I don't do that. I go home, because back then you sat at home with a piece of paper, you wrote what you wrote, and then you went to the studio and you did what you wrote. It was not like it is now. And now we're both in each other's face. Like, I said I'm not doing it. Do it, man. I said I'm not doing it. Right? So we're going back and forth. He said, man, just go in there and do it one time. So I went in the room, they hit the button, and I did it one time. Whatever you hear on that song is the result of me doing it one time. So if you go to the end of the song and you hear it's going, let's go now, let's go now, let's go now, let's go, you hear me going, now bring it back now. So it's just one take. And I actually have the video of that. I actually have to put it up again. If you go to Missy Elliott's Twitter, she put it up because I had given her the video. So that was the most interesting way that I've wound up on a record. And sometimes you just stumble onto the hits, and that was a case of that. So with that being said, here's the final product. It was out in the middle of the desert. Oh my God, that's another story completely. I'd have to come back and give you another story about that. But this is Missy Elliott featuring me, little old Fatman Scoop, Lose Control. So guess what, everybody? You're watching Rage, and for the next 5 hours, I'm gonna be here with you. Is it gonna be a long time for me to sit in one spot? Sure, but guess what? We've got a lot to talk about, and I'm gonna share some stories with you, so hang around. The next video we're about to watch is Tribe Called Quest, Can I Kick It? One of the most beautiful things about this video is just the way it was filmed. It was very gritty, it was very dirty for a group that's actually not like that. It was filmed in the street. And, Tribe Called Quest is not that kind of act, but the way that they captured it just gave you the soul and the feel of New York City. If you want to know what New York City felt like in the 90s, actually in Queens, this would be your video. Can I Kick It? Tribe Called Quest. Watch this. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Fatman Scoop, and you're watching Rage. This one is an absolute classic as well. Drop It Like It's Hot, Snoop Dogg and Pharrell. Okay, so you look at Snoop Dogg, right? And you say gangster rapper, and you say weed, and these are all of the things that come to your mind when you think of Snoop. You think of aggressive, angry rap, you think of dangerous rap, you think of South Central Los Angeles, you think of gang member, you think of all the things that you guys think Snoop is about. First of all, let's start here. Snoop has become something completely different. He has become the elder statesman of hip hop. That's number one. I'll say that again. Snoop has become something completely different. He has become the elder statesman of hip hop and the salesman for everything from beer to household products. A man that got a show with Martha Stewart. That in itself shows how broad you have become. And that entire gangster image and scary persona is now gone, and he's Uncle Snoop. I was blessed enough to see both sides of that person. I actually love this side of Snoop more. So, how did that become? The music had to change to an extent. And Snoop was going through a phase where he was like, what I did before is not what I can do now. Because if you think about it, negative lyrics get you negative results. So you talk about killing, you're going to attract killing. You talk about gang life, you're going to attract gang life. And I believe that Snoop wanted to change. And well, he told me, he said, you know, I want to get away from that. And he started making different kinds of music. And if you want to do something different that's not in your vein of gangster rap, who do you go to? And at the time, Pharrell was the hottest producer on the planet. Now, here's how things work in music. Usually you have eras. So you have the era of when Berry Gordy from Motown was producing all the hits. And then you had the era with Stevie Wonder or this person. And then Teddy Riley came to dominance. And then it was Puffy and Bad Boy. And then Pharrell and the Neptunes had a run where they produced everything. And one of those records was Drop It Like It's Hot. And the great thing about it is that the way that that record was produced and done, Snoop could still be himself, give you classic Snoop over a Pharrell beat, and it worked. And this is actually the result. Drop It Like It's Hot. Check it out. So this video right here is Beyonce and Jay-Z, Crazy in Love. One of the things that I remember the most about this was the fact that this was like at the beginning of the relationship. I mean, of course now, you know, they're years into this, but just to have them both on one screen together, it was like the perfect quote unquote power couple thing. And you know, when you're both stars, you can do great stuff. I'm just trying to figure out how the record took place. I mean, were they laying in the bed and she said, get up and just do this verse? But when you're Beyonce and Jay-Z, you can basically do whatever you want. And this right here is the actual collaboration and the final event. Watch it right here. Crazy in Love, Jay-Z, Beyonce. Fat Joe featuring Terror Squad and Remy Ma, Lean Back. All right, so let's talk about the two Joes. The Joe that I know, Joe Crack, was a terror. Think about the worst parts of the Bible and add 30% to it. Bad. But he was, again, someone else who was on a transformation and a journey. And I remember Joe telling me, when I had a conversation with him, he was like, I was sitting, I believe this is right after he got out of jail for tax evasion. And that's another story to itself. But he was sitting around, he was trying to figure out what he was gonna do. And the one thing that Joe can do very well is he can give you a hit song every year. He's really good at that. It might not be a whole album, but he's gonna give you a guaranteed hit song every time he comes out. Go look at it. Make It Rain, Lean Back, What's Love? We could go through it on and on and on. We can go through it. That's his forte. He'll give you one hit record that's transformative. So I said, well, Joe, how, and this is not even a radio interview, this is just me and him talking. I said, bro, what made you come with Lean Back? And I believe it was around the time that Lean Back and All the Way Up, he was like kind of in that era. He said, listen, I would just go to the clubs and I would sit there and I would listen to what's going on and I would watch people. He said, I wouldn't go to drink, I wouldn't go to hang out, I wouldn't do anything. I was a fly on the wall in the back and I would watch what people were doing. And I know for sure that All the Way Up and this song Lean Back were the result of that process. Lean Back. Now that's something that's a move and that's a dance. Anytime you can combine a hit song with a dance, out of here. Now, You've got Scott Storch on the other hand with the music. Bam, 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 bam. Listen, Scott Storch is one of the most amazing producers ever. This is the guy who brought you in the club, okay? I also believe he brought you Still Dre. Like, anytime there's keys or synth in a record, that guy is amazing. So, I don't know how it happened, but it did happen. But I know it was from going into clubs, paying attention, watching, observing, and taking that information and actually articulating that into a song. Lean back, check it out. What's up, y'all? This is Fatman Scoop, and right now, you're watching Rage. Hypnotize, the Notorious B.I.G. What else is there to say? It's Biggie. A little background on Biggie. Biggie was amazing. He was amazing. He was one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. I did not interact with Biggie as much as other people did, but I did interact with him. There are people who just were with Biggie all the time. You know, I saw Biggie sparingly, but I always remember all of my interactions with him. For me, his first album, Ready to Die, it was good. Of course, it got critical acclaim. I liked it, but I wasn't, at the time, super impressed with it. Like, it was a great album. It wasn't like, for me, like Rakim, Follow the Leader or something like, it wasn't something that I just had to kneel down to. And I remember saying, I was like, Biggie's good, you know, he's good. You know, they would call him the King of New York and stuff like that. And I take the title King of New York seriously. So, King of New York, you're gonna have to show me that. You gonna have to show me that. And I believe that Biggie was the first one that was the King of New York, because he was named after Frank White. That's another story. That's New York City stuff. But let me just deal with this. So Ready to Die was his first album. And I said, okay, it's cool, it's good. You know, I wasn't jumping up and down like everybody else. This man came with Life After Death. That album, he basically made that album for me. He said, you think it's okay, you think it's above average and not what everybody else is thinking? Well, guess what, Fatman Scoop? I'm gonna show you. The lyric, let's start here. It is really, really hard to have a sophomore album that's better than the freshman album. Biggie's one of the few artists that I've ever seen that's had a sophomore album that was more amazing than the freshman album. This guy, just go listen to that album. Everything about the lyrics on that album, everything he did, amazing. And the first single was Hypnotize. And I'll never forget playing that in the clubs in New York. Boom, da da, boom, da da, boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, boom, boom. And it's off our Herb Alpert, Rise, that sample. Puffy is the king of taking a sample from the old school and jazzing it up and making it commercial. And between him and Puff, I don't think it's one of the few perfect combinations. Batman and Robin, peanut butter and jelly, Biggie and Puff. And Hypnotize is basically the epitome of their work together. And I love the video. Again, a Hype Williams video, high budget, a lot of money, sexy video. Trust me, if you haven't seen it and this is your first time, you're going to enjoy it. Watch this. So this one right here is Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On. I'll never forget how massive this record was. And, you know, the sample was so infectious. You know, there's records that you're in the right place at the right time with the right sample and the right words and right everything. And I swear, this was it. Like bing ding 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 bing ding 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 bing ding 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 bang bang ding, and then you're gonna put it down, holla. You know, those records, it's hard to make those records where you have those are what I call as a DJ impact records. Records that you can play them, and no matter whether you go to Alaska or Antarctica, from Alaska to Antarctica to Los Angeles to Lisbon to Tokyo to, you know, whatever city starts with a T, you can go there and you can play that song and everybody's gonna know it. And it's one of those records that you can always go into another record with. So I don't know if Timbaland and Missy knew what they were doing, but they made just an all-time classic record. It's what DJs call a save record. It's a record that saves you. If you can't get the crowd going in one direction, you know if you play that record, it's gonna work. Holla! And then you go to another hit record. The video is amazing. Everything about it is amazing. An absolute classic. Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On. The Timbaland and Missy connection continues right here on Rage. So, this one is Foxy Brown, I'll Be. If you don't know anything about Foxy Brown, I'm here to tell you about her. She came on the scene like a bolt of lightning. To an extent, she was brought into this by Jay-Z on a record called Ain't No like the one I got. And from there, that one opportunity, she took it and she ran with it and she made it a career. There is no one better than the El Nana when it comes to delivery, flow, style, and just an overall sex appeal. At the time, it was her and another rapper named Lil' Kim. And boy, did that make for a silent war, competition, whatever you want to call it. But I tell you what, they both pushed each other and they both made each other better. And I'm here to tell you, this in the 90s, this was one of the biggest hit records that you could ever find. I'll Be, Foxy Brown, right here on Rage. Check it out. So everyone, this one right here, as we slow it down just a little bit, this is a classic, Boyz II Men, End of the Road. How could you not remember this record? Boyz II Men came on the scene so strong, and shout to Michael Bivins, because he's an amazing evaluator of talent. 4 guys, slow songs. No one had ever done what they do the way that they did it. And this is a perfect example. Boyz II Men, End of the Road. I love the video, by the way, and you're gonna love it too if you've never seen it, right here on Rage. This right here is what you would call a New York City classic, what you'd call a heritage record, what you'd call one of the biggest records that I believe has ever been recorded in the 50 years of hip hop, All About the Benjamins. This is at the height of Bad Boy, this is at the height of the Hitmen, this is at the height of everything. They put out this record called All About the Benjamins. Boom, 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 boom. I believe the producer's a guy named Derek D. Angeletti. I think it was D. who did that record. However, I'll never forget the first time that I heard that record. Bad Boy was at the absolute apex of fire. This was a time that if Bad Boy gave you a record and you were on the radio, you wouldn't even listen to it. Usually when you get a record and you're on the radio, you listen to it to see if it's okay. You don't even listen to the record. And the records at that time from Bad Boy were so good that you could have a 2-year-old bring it up to the radio station and say, my daddy said, play this record, and it would just get played. I believe the record came in, I think I was at the station early that night, and Funkmaster Flex got the record. Funkmaster Flex still is to this day, the #1 DJ in New York City. And I remember Flex taking the record and not even hearing it. Just in the middle of his show, getting the record and just putting it on. You have to be amazing to get somebody to do that. Anyway, it came on, boom, 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 and this record was like amazing. Right after that, a group called the Crooklyn Clan, who happened to be my producers, made another remix off of that song called All My Real Live Niggas Throw Your Hands Up, Throw Your Hands Up. And that became a huge, huge, huge anthem. But once they finished the original version, they put Lil' Kim on it. And they put Biggie on it. And that's the version you hear today. There is no record that I think that epitomizes New York as much as that song, All About the Benjamins, right here. Watch it. You're going to enjoy it. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Fatman Scoop, and you're watching Rage. Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching all my favorite videos. Now I'm going to personally shove down your throat some of my music. And I'm going to start with this, the one that everybody knows, Be Faithful. I'm going to tell you a story about it before we get into it. I did this song, and it was a remix, and they decided that they wanted to make it a record and put it out to the world. When you make a record, you have to do what's called clearing the record. When you clear a record, you have to get permission from everybody who's written the song or sung the song. Writing means making the lyrics or the beat, and singing is, of course, performing. There were 44 publishers on this song. So imagine getting 44 of your friends and putting them in a room and getting them to agree to something. They did it. It got done. That's God's work. Now it's time for the video. So now I'm hype. I'm saying, oh, listen, I'm going to get to make my video. This is going to be amazing. Oh, my God, it's going to be this. We're going to make it like this. We're going to make it like that. And they say, oh, yeah, Scoop, yeah, we got you. We'll send you the treatment. The treatment is like, you know, the guideline for how they're going to shoot the video or whatever, you know, the idea. And then you agree to it, you don't agree to it, and then you shoot the video and do your thing. 3 weeks later, I turn on the television, and there's this corny video with a cartoon character that doesn't look like me, wearing a 4-finger ring, which I'd absolutely never wear in my life, and a pimp driving a car, the most stereotypical thing that you could ever think that is absolutely not me. And when I tell you I was punching at the air, I was in my house punching at the air like, what is this? And I hated it. I hate it. I hate it to this day. But I will say, it's now become a classic. It's been seen by everybody. It's been heard by everybody. And sometimes you don't like the things that happen, but if a hit is a hit, people will get used to it. And I thought the video was horrible. At some time in my life, I want to reshoot it. But this is the video, and this is what it is, and it actually worked. Be Faithful by me, Fatman Scoop, here on Rage. Happy New Year's, everybody. It's me, Fatman Scoop. Of course, we're in a brand new year right now, and what other way to start the year off and get it hype and get it jumping and get the energy going than to play my record, Be Faithful, Fatman Scoop, right here on Rage. Let's go!